G'day, cozy campers. Welcome to camp. The fire's burning low, just enough to warm the air, and the storm outside is rolling in steady, the rain tapping gently on the canvas of the tent. It's the kind of night where the world feels far away, just you, the crackle of the fire, and the soft rhythm of nature singing you towards sleep. Tonight, I've got a few stories for you. Stories of creatures you might not expect. Some are ancient, shaped by millions of years. Others are small, almost invisible, yet carrying secrets that could surprise even the bravest among us. They're animals that remind us of how strange, how beautiful, and how unpredictable this world can be. I won't spoil it now. Let's just say that what you'll hear tonight will take us from hidden corners of the sea to the vast open heart of the desert, and even into places where danger and beauty walk hand in hand. Each one has its own lesson to share. Lessons about patience, about resilience, about mystery, and about the quiet strength of nature. So, settle in. Pull the blanket close, take a deep breath, and let the storm outside carry you deeper into calm. You don't need to do anything but listen. Let the stories unfold slowly and see where they take you. By the end of the night, I promise, you'll meet some of the most surprising creatures this world has to offer. Now, let's turn our attention to the great saltwater crocodile. The saltwater crocodile, or Crocodilus porosus, is often called the living dinosaur. And when you imagine one resting in the shallows of a tropical river, you can almost feel that ancient presence. Picture it with me now. The water is calm, brown with silt, reflecting the wide blue sky above. Along the edges of the river, mangrove roots twist and tangle, reaching down into the mud. And there, almost invisible at first, lies the crocodile. Its body is so still, so perfectly blended with its surroundings, that you might walk right past without ever knowing it was there. Only its eyes and nostrils break the surface, small dark shapes in the rippling water. This is the saltwater crocodile's way. It waits, patient, unmoving, timeless, and patience has been its gift for over 200 million years. That's right, these crocodiles are ancient. They were here when the first forests spread across the land. They were here when dinosaurs walked. They were here when the continents were still shifting and shaping. The saltwater crocodile is not just an animal, it's a survivor, carrying the memory of the earth itself. Now, let's think about its size. The largest saltwater crocodiles can grow longer than a small car, 6 meters or more, with a weight close to a ton. Imagine that, mate. A creature as heavy as a grand piano gliding silently through the water. And yet, despite its bulk, it moves with a grace that seems impossible. A gentle push of the tail, and it drifts forward. Barely a sound, barely a ripple. But not all are giants. Many crocodiles are smaller, 2, 3, 4 meters long. And in their own watery territories, each one reigns supreme. They are territorial, keeping watch over stretches of riverbank, sandbars and lagoons, much like we might keep a home. It's funny, really. Here we are, tucked snugly in our little campsite, and out there, somewhere in the warm, northern rivers, a crocodile is snug in its muddy lagoon, perfectly at home. Saltwater crocodiles are not limited to rivers. Unlike many other croc species, these ones can live in both fresh and salt water. They are found in creeks and swamps, billabongs and estuaries, even far out at sea. There are stories of crocodiles swimming for kilometers into the open ocean, carried on strong currents, drifting between islands. Imagine that, a prehistoric reptile cruising the waves as easily as a sea turtle. Their body tells the story of survival, a hide as tough as armor, patterned in mottled greens and browns, perfect for blending into riverbanks. Jaws strong enough to hold fast to anything they need, though here we think only of the wonder, not the danger. A heart that beats slowly, efficiently, conserving energy so it can wait, still as stone, for hours on end. When the day grows warm, the saltwater crocodile sometimes pulls itself onto a sandbank. There, under the tropical sun, it opens its great jaws just a little, letting the heat escape. This is called gaping. To us, it might look like a smile, a slow, toothy grin beneath the wide sky. But really, it's just the crocodile's way of staying cool, of finding balance in his body. Now, close your eyes and picture it, a giant reptile resting on the shore, its body stretched out, its scales catching the sunlight, steam rising from the wet mud around it. The world moves slowly, quietly. Birds call overhead, dragonflies hover above the water, and the crocodile lies still, part of the landscape itself. In Aboriginal Dreamtime stories, the crocodile often appears as a guardian of rivers, a symbol of strength and patience. In some tales, the crocodile spirit is said to teach the importance of waiting, of knowing the right moment to act. And as the rain taps gently on our tent tonight, it feels right to think of that lesson, that sometimes the greatest strength is in stillness. Saltwater crocodiles are also excellent parents. The mother croc builds a nest of vegetation, carefully covering her eggs. She keeps watch, guarding the nest until the hatchlings emerge, and when they do, she often helps carry them gently in her mouth, one by one, down to the water's edge. For a creature so ancient, so formidable, there is something tender in this act of care, a reminder that even the toughest scales can hide a softer side. Now, let's wander into their world a little deeper. Imagine drifting along a quiet river at night. The moonlight shines across the surface, and the water is dark and still. Suddenly, you notice them. Two small, glowing lights along the shore. They shine red, like tiny lanterns. These are the crocodile's eyes, reflecting the moonlight, watching silently as you pass by. It's eerie, perhaps, but also magical. A reminder that we are never alone in the wild. The crocodile is always there, part of the ecosystem, keeping balance in the rivers and coasts of the north. And here's another wonder. The saltwater crocodile can live to be 70 years old, sometimes more. Think of that, a lifetime spent swimming rivers, basking on sandbanks, and riding the tides of the sea. Generation after generation, they endure, as steady as the turning of the earth. As we sit here tonight, listening to the storm, it's easy to feel small compared to such a creature. But it's not a frightening smallness, it's a humbling one. To know that we share this world with beings so ancient, so perfectly adapted, is to feel part of something vast and mysterious. So the next time you hear the name saltwater crocodile, don't just think of jaws and teeth. Think of patience. Think of survival. Think of a story written across 200 million years, still unfolding in the rivers and seas of the north. And now, let the thought drift like the river itself, slow, steady, and endless. Now, mate, let's take another quiet walk through the world of the saltwater crocodile. We've seen it basking on sandbanks and waiting patiently in the water. But what makes it truly remarkable is just how perfectly designed it is for life in both fresh and salt water. Think about that for a moment. Most reptiles stick to one environment, but the saltwater crocodile, it's a wanderer. It can travel along rivers, across estuaries, through mangrove forests, and even out into the open sea. Its body holds a secret, special salt glands tucked inside its tongue. These glands help expel excess salt, so the crocodile can thrive where few other reptiles dare to go. Imagine it now, a crocodile drifting beyond the mouth of a great river, carried by the tide out into the turquoise waters of the ocean. It's not a creature that you expect to see there, yet it moves with ease, tail sweeping side to side, the same way its ancestors once swam in prehistoric seas. The thought gives you chills, doesn't it? That something so ancient still glides beneath waves that lap the modern shore. And what about its senses? The saltwater crocodile doesn't just see with its eyes above the water. Oh no, mate. It's got tricks. Beneath the skin of its jaws are tiny sensory pits, like little dots in the scales. These can detect the faintest vibrations in the water. A splash of a fish, the ripple of a bird landing, even the faint movement of rain pattering on the river's surface. Where we hear the storm tonight above us, the crocodile feels its own storm in the water below. That sensitivity is part of why the crocodile is so perfectly still. It doesn't need to rush. It simply waits, feeling the world move around it, knowing exactly when to glide forward. Now, let's wander into the breeding season. Around the warmer months, the female saltwater crocodile builds her nest. She gathers up plants, grass, sticks, all the materials she can find. As they decay, they give off heat, creating a warm, natural incubator for her eggs. She lays up to 50 of them, each one like a little white pearl, tucked safely inside the mound. And for the next 3 months, she stands guard. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. The temperature of the nest decides whether the hatchlings will be male or female. Warmer nests often produce more males, while slightly cooler ones bring more females. Imagine that, the very breath of the sun and the shade of the land determining the balance of future generations. When the time comes, the hatchlings chirp from inside their shells. Their little voices call out to their mother, and she responds. With surprising gentleness, she helps them break free. Sometimes she even carries them carefully in her mouth, down to the water's edge, protecting them from birds and lizards. In that moment, the ancient predator becomes a devoted parent, ensuring her young begin their journey. Now, mate, it's worth pausing here, because when you think of the saltwater crocodile, you might picture its mighty power. But isn't it just as important to remember its patience, its care, its role as guardian of its offspring? That balance between strength and tenderness is part of the magic of the crocodile. There are stories, from the people of Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory. Some tell of the crocodile as a being that taught humans the ways of the water. Others speak of a great crocodile ancestor, carving rivers with its body, shaping the land as it swam. These Dreamtime stories remind us that the crocodile is not only a creature of flesh and scale, but also a spirit of country, tied to place, tied to story, tied to the people who have known it for tens of thousands of years. So, as we sit here in our cozy camp, listening to the storm drift overhead, we can imagine those same stories being told around fires long ago. Stories of crocodiles, rivers, and the endless patience of nature. And perhaps that's what the saltwater crocodile teaches us most. To wait, to endure, to move with the rhythm of the world instead of against it. All right, mate, let's go even deeper into the crocodile's world in a moment. Let's stay with the saltwater crocodile a little longer, mate, because the more time you spend with this animal, the more it reveals. Think about how it lives day to day. A crocodile doesn't rush. It saves its energy, lying quietly in the shallows, sometimes for hours, sometimes for an entire day. The heart of a crocodile beats more slowly than ours, keeping it calm, steady, and efficient. It can slow its breathing, resting beneath the surface with only the tip of its nose exposed. This patience is one of the secrets to its survival. Its eyes are another wonder. Each one has a protective third eyelid, clear like glass, that slides across when the crocodile goes underwater. To us, it might seem like wearing goggles. It allows the crocodile to see clearly beneath the surface, even in murky rivers. When you picture it gliding just under the water, watching, waiting, you can almost feel those ancient eyes fixed on the world above. And then there is its hearing. Small slits just behind the eyes lead to ears that are covered by flaps of skin. Those ears can close tightly when the crocodile dives. With this, the crocodile moves between two worlds, the noisy, chattering world above the water and the muted, secret world beneath. In the north of Australia, saltwater crocodiles are part of the rhythm of life. Fishermen see them along the banks. Families pass down stories about where they live and how to share the rivers. Even scientists speak of their role as apex predators, keeping ecosystems balanced. Without crocodiles, fish and bird populations might swell too large, changing the health of the wetlands. In a way, these ancient reptiles are gardeners of their rivers, trimming and shaping through their very presence. Now imagine once more the sheer size of the largest crocodiles, 6 meters long, 1 ton in weight, lying there, half in the water, half on the land. They look like they could be statues carved from stone, yet with a flick of the tail, they vanish into the river, silent, complete. A reminder that nature is always larger than us, always older, always grander than we can fully grasp. When storms roll through the tropics, like the one outside our camp tonight, the crocodile simply waits it out. While winds whip the trees and rain lashes the water, the crocodile is there, resting beneath the surface, sheltered by the riverbank. Storms may come and go, but the crocodile remains, just as it has for millions of years. And here is something gentle to think about as the rain continues to patter on the tent. When a crocodile drifts in the current, carried softly downstream, it is not in a hurry to arrive anywhere. It simply goes where the water takes it. Imagine yourself the same way, drifting softly on the current of your breath, letting go of effort, letting the world carry you. In this way, the crocodile is not only an ancient survivor, but also a teacher in stillness and surrender. As night falls on the river, the crocodile glides silently under the stars. Its body moves with the same rhythm it has always known, from the first reptiles of prehistory to the present day. The moonlight shines on the ripples it leaves behind, then fades, as if the crocodile were never there, a ghost of the water, a keeper of time. And so, mate, as we bring this part of our story to a close, remember the saltwater crocodile not as something to fear, but as something to marvel at, a creature that carries the wisdom of deep time, a creature that endures storms, rivers, and seas, a creature that reminds us to be patient, to rest, and to trust in the slow, steady current of life. Now, take a deep breath, feel the coziness of the camp around you, and let the image of the saltwater crocodile drift softly into the background of your mind. The ocean has always held mysteries, mate. When you stand on the shore and look out over the waves, it seems as though the sea goes on forever. The water stretches beyond the horizon, rolling and rising, sometimes calm, sometimes wild with storms. And yet, for all its size, the greatest wonders of the ocean are often the smallest, hidden in tide pools, in crevices, in the spaces between rocks and coral, are creatures so delicate, so quiet, that they are almost invisible. One of these hidden wonders is the blue-ringed octopus. The blue-ringed octopus is tiny. Its body is often no bigger than a golf ball, and its arms, when stretched out, are no longer than the length of your hand. Imagine holding out your palm and seeing the entire animal resting there, soft and small, hardly noticeable at first glance. It is one of the most unassuming creatures in the tide pool, but do not mistake its size for insignificance. For within this little octopus lies one of the most powerful secrets in the ocean. Most of the time, the blue-ringed octopus blends into its surroundings. Its skin is golden brown, sometimes sandy yellow, covered in small patterns that help it vanish against rocks and shells. It is a master of camouflage. You could peer into a shallow pool, scan every pebble and shell, and still miss it entirely. But when it feels threatened, when it wishes to be seen, its body changes. Brilliant rings of electric blue flare across its skin. The transformation is sudden and dazzling, as though the octopus has set itself alight with color. Those rings are not for decoration. They are a warning. Nature has given this small animal a way of saying, "Stop. Keep your distance. I am not to be touched." And the message is one that is best heeded. For the blue-ringed octopus carries within it a venom so powerful that it astonishes scientists. It is not an aggressive animal, and it does not attack without cause. But its warning is real, and its brilliance reminds us that beauty and danger sometimes live side by side. Picture it with me. The tide has gone out, leaving behind pools of still water among the rocks. The sun is low, coloring the horizon with pink and gold. You lean close to the water and see only shells, tiny fish darting, strands of seaweed swaying gently. Then, just for a moment, a shimmer of blue catches your eye. One ring, then another, and then dozens, glowing across the octopus's body like tiny lanterns The water seems to hold its breath, and you find yourself staring at a creature that looks as though it carries the night sky on its skin. The octopus moves slowly, with grace. Its arms curl and uncurl as it explores, tasting the sand with its suckers, brushing over stones, slipping into crevices. Each arm is lined with dozens of small suction cups, each one sensitive, able to feel texture, able to taste chemicals in the water. To the octopus, every touch is both a sensation and a taste. Imagine running your fingers across a rock and not only feeling its surface, but also tasting the minerals within it. That is how the octopus moves through its world. What does it eat? For the blue-ringed octopus, the diet is simple. Small crustaceans, tiny crabs, shrimp, and sometimes small fish. It waits in hiding, patient, and when a crab wanders close, it flows forward, arms reaching, soft and silent. With a quick strike, it seizes the prey, its beak piercing through shell. Then comes the venom. The blue-ringed octopus delivers a bite, and within moments the crab is paralyzed. It is not a violent act, not a frenzy. It is quick, efficient, and calm. The octopus feeds, then retreats once more to its hiding place. Scientists have studied this venom, and what they discovered is remarkable. It contains a substance called tetrodotoxin, one of the most powerful neurotoxins known. This same compound is found in pufferfish and certain newts, but in the blue-ringed octopus, it is concentrated and potent. The toxin works by blocking sodium channels in nerves, which stops signals from passing along them. In simple terms, it causes paralysis. Muscles stop responding. Breathing can stop. It is a quiet but complete shutdown of the body's movement. Yet for all this power, the octopus itself is shy. It does not seek out humans. Most encounters occur only when someone picks up a shell or reaches under a rock where the octopus is hiding. Often the animal has no wish to bite, and if left alone, it will simply remain tucked away, its rings hidden. The brilliance of its blue circles is not an invitation but a plea. Leave me be. Respect my space. The venom itself is not something the octopus entirely makes on its own. Inside its salivary glands live symbiotic bacteria that help produce the toxin. This is one of nature's strange partnerships. Tiny microbes living within a larger animal, giving it a defense so powerful that it has no predators except chance. Together, octopus and bacteria create a system of survival that has endured for millions of years. The life of a blue-ringed octopus is brief. Most live for only a year or two. They grow quickly, mature, and then reproduce. For the female, reproduction is the final act of her life. She lays eggs, then guards them fiercely. For weeks, sometimes months, she will stop feeding altogether, devoting her energy to watching over the clutch. She carries the eggs with her, keeping them clean, keeping them oxygenated, holding them close beneath her arms. When they finally hatch, the mother's energy is spent. She dies soon after, her life given entirely to the next generation. It is a bittersweet cycle, one that speaks to the devotion and sacrifice found even in the smallest corners of nature. The male blue-ringed octopus has his own challenge. When he finds a female, he uses a special arm called a hectocotylus to transfer sperm. This is not without risk. In many octopus species, the female may attack or even eat the male. To protect himself, the male sometimes delivers a small dose of venom to temporarily paralyze the female, giving him a safer chance to mate. It is a delicate and dangerous ritual, played out quietly beneath the waves. Stories of glowing sea creatures have been told for centuries. Sailors once spoke of strange lights in the water, flickering like stars. Some thought them spirits, some thought them omens of storms. Perhaps, on rare nights, they were seeing the rings of a blue-ringed octopus pulsing beneath the surface, a natural lantern in the shallows. To glimpse it in darkness is to see something that feels like magic, like a dream drifting across the tide. Encounters with people are rare, but they do happen. In Australia, there are tales of beachgoers picking up shells, only to find the octopus hidden inside. One story tells of a young child who carried a shell home, not realizing the creature within. Fortunately, the octopus did not bite, and the child was unharmed. But it serves as a reminder that beauty in nature must be approached with care. What looks harmless may hold mysteries beyond our understanding. Despite its reputation, the blue-ringed octopus is a marvel of balance. It is not a monster, not an aggressor. It is a quiet, gentle being, moving through its tide pools, living its brief life with purpose. Its rings are not meant to frighten, but to protect, a glowing shield against a world much larger than itself. As we sit here tonight, with the rain pattering softly on the tent and the fire burning low, imagine those glowing rings beneath the waves. Imagine them pulsing in rhythm with the storm. A drop of rain above, a circle of blue below. The same steady heartbeat of the natural world, echoed in different forms. Let the image rest in your mind. A tide pool at dusk, the sound of the ocean in the distance, and a tiny octopus glowing softly in the shallows, a reminder that even the smallest lives can shine with brilliance. The story of the blue-ringed octopus is one of contrasts. Small, delicate, almost invisible most of the time, and yet carrying within it one of the most potent defenses in the natural world. To spend time with this animal, even in thought, is to explore both the fragility of life and its immense resilience. Let us step deeper into its world. Picture the rocky shoreline at low tide. Pools of water gleam under the moonlight, each one a little window into another universe. If you crouch down and peer inside, you might see crabs picking through algae, starfish clinging to stones, little fish darting in quick flashes of silver. Somewhere among them, resting almost unnoticed, lies the blue-ringed octopus. Its body is soft and rounded, arms tucked gently beneath it. At this moment, it is nothing remarkable, just another shape in the sand. But then, as though the pool itself is breathing, the octopus stirs. Rings of vivid blue shimmer into life, each one pulsing with its own rhythm. Why blue? Why not red, or green, or yellow? Scientists believe the answer lies in visibility. Blue wavelengths of light are particularly striking in shallow water, cutting through the reflections and the shifting play of sunlight. To the animals of the tide pool, these rings are unmissable. They are a signal that says, beware. And unlike many warning colors in nature that are fixed, these rings are dynamic. They appear only when needed, glowing with a suddenness that startles even the most determined intruder. It is a language of light, spoken in silence. The skin of the octopus is a masterpiece of biology. It is covered in chromatophores, tiny sacs of pigment that can expand or contract to change color. Beneath them are iridophores and leucophores, reflective cells that bend and scatter light. By coordinating these layers, the octopus can shift from dull camouflage to dazzling display in the blink of an eye. Each ring is surrounded by dark pigment that makes the blue glow even brighter, like the halo around a star. Watching it happen is like watching a firework frozen in miniature, a burst of light contained within a living form. Beyond its color, the octopus has another gift: flexibility. Its body contains no bones, only soft muscle. This allows it to squeeze through gaps that seem impossibly small. A crevice no wider than your little finger can be a doorway. A discarded shell can become a fortress. There are stories of aquariums where octopuses escape their tanks through drainage holes barely larger than a coin. The blue-ringed octopus, tiny as it is, makes use of this gift to perfection. It can vanish into cracks, fold itself under rocks, or slip into an abandoned snail shell to wait out the day. When night falls, it hunts. Its movements are almost dreamlike. Arms extend and contract, bending like ribbons caught in the current. The body glides across sand and stone without sound. Suckers taste and feel, mapping the terrain with exquisite detail. Somewhere nearby, a crab moves. The octopus senses it before we would. With a swift, flowing motion, it encircles the prey. A quick nip from its beak, and the crab grows still. The octopus feeds calmly, as though the entire act were no more disruptive than a ripple on water. Inside its mouth lies that remarkable beak, sharp and strong, resembling the beak of a parrot. With it, the octopus can pierce shells and exoskeletons, reaching the soft tissue within. Alongside the beak are salivary glands, where the symbiotic bacteria live, producing the potent venom. This venom does more than paralyze. It begins to break down the tissues of the prey, turning it into a meal that can be consumed without struggle. It is efficiency, honed through millennia of evolution. Humans, of course, have learned to respect that venom. There is no antivenom for the bite of a blue-ringed octopus. Medical care focuses on supporting breathing until the toxin wears off. And yet, fatalities remain extremely rare. Most people will never see one in the wild, let alone experience a bite. The animal's nature is not to attack, but to retreat. Only when touched or cornered does it use its defense. In this sense, it is like a tiny guardian of the tide pools, asking only to be left in peace. The life cycle of the blue-ringed octopus is short but intense. After hatching, the young are planktonic, drifting in the currents for several weeks. They are no larger than a grain of rice, almost transparent, carried by the sea wherever the tide flows. During this stage, they are vulnerable to countless predators: fish, jellyfish, even other plankton, and yet enough survive to settle in shallow reefs where they begin to grow. Within a year, they are fully mature, ready to begin the cycle anew. Life, brief as it is, burns brightly. For the female, motherhood is both triumph and end. She lays her eggs in a cluster, binding them with mucus, and carries them beneath her arms. For weeks she tends them, cleaning them with gentle care, ensuring water flows across them so they receive oxygen. During this time, she does not eat. Her energy is spent entirely on her offspring. By the time they hatch, her body is exhausted. She dies soon after, leaving behind the next generation. It is a sacrifice written into her very being, a devotion that ensures her line continues. In their brief span of life, blue-ringed octopuses play a role in the balance of their ecosystem. By preying on crabs and shrimp, they help regulate populations in the tide pools. They in turn become food for larger fish and eels, though not many dare to take the risk. In this way, they are threads in the great web of the reef, small but essential. Without them, the rhythm of the tide pools would shift and balance would falter. People who encounter them in the wild often speak of awe rather than fear. To see those glowing rings in shallow water is to see something that feels otherworldly. One diver described it as watching the ocean breathe light. Another recalled how, upon turning over a shell, the octopus inside unfurled its arms and shimmered, as though a hidden jewel had suddenly been revealed. These anecdotes remind us that the animal is not just a fact of science but an experience, a moment of connection between human and sea. Legends, too, have grown around glowing creatures in the ocean. In some Pacific island traditions, lights in the tide pools were seen as spirits, guiding or warning those who fish by night. The blue-ringed octopus may well have inspired some of these tales, its sudden brilliance startling those who stumbled across it. Even today, stories of strange glowing animals persist, and while some are myth, others are rooted in encounters with the octopus and its luminous display. To imagine the octopus is to imagine delicacy. Picture it once more, arms flowing gracefully, rings pulsing softly, body no bigger than your hand, yet carrying within it both beauty and danger. It is a creature that asks us to pause, to look closer at the small corners of the world. How many wonders do we overlook simply because they are small or hidden or silent? Here in camp, with rain still falling on the tent and thunder rolling far in the distance, we can let that image linger. A tide pool under the moon, the hush of the waves, and in the shallow water, a tiny octopus, glowing as though it holds the very light of the storm within its skin. So when you hear the name blue-ringed octopus, don't think first of venom or danger. Think of patience. Think of beauty. Think of the fragile balance of life that can shine so brightly, even for a brief time, in the hidden places of the sea. The story of the blue-ringed octopus does not end with its glowing rings or its potent venom. To understand it fully, we need to spend more time imagining its world, its daily rhythms, and the many mysteries it still holds. This is not just a tale of survival, but a meditation on life lived quietly, beautifully, in the margins of the sea. Let us picture a reef at dawn. The tide is rising, the water moving gently into cracks and channels carved over centuries by waves. Light filters down in pale beams, catching on corals and shells, turning the whole reef into a shimmering mosaic. In one of the crevices, hidden beneath a stone ledge, rests a blue-ringed octopus. Through the night it is hunted, and now, with the first touch of sunlight above, it curls into stillness. Its arms fold beneath its body. Suckers press gently to the rock. To an untrained eye, it looks like nothing more than a patch of sand, another piece of rubble in the reef. Camouflage is the key to its peace. Unlike animals that rely on speed or size, the blue-ringed octopus finds safety in disappearing. Chromatophores in its skin expand or contract, shifting patterns across its body in moments. One instant it is pale and sandy, the next it is mottled like the rocks. If a fish swims by, there is no chase. The octopus simply becomes part of the background, unseen, unbothered. To master invisibility is to master survival. And yet, when invisibility fails, when a predator presses too close, the octopus reveals its secret brilliance. The rings flare, each one a circle of iridescent blue, framed in dark pigment. They flash in waves across the body, turning the little animal into a beacon. This is not a plea, but a command. Do not touch. Keep away. I am more powerful than I seem. It is astonishing how effective this is. Fish that would strike hesitate. Larger creatures back away. Even humans, transfixed by the beauty, feel the instinct to leave it undisturbed. The venom inside this small animal is, in a way, one of the ocean's great paradoxes. It is made not only by the octopus, but also by bacteria living within it. These symbionts produce tetrodotoxin, the same chemical found in pufferfish and some species of newts. It is thousands of times more powerful than cyanide. A single bite can paralyze within minutes. And yet, the octopus does not flaunt this gift. It does not hunt with fury, does not terrorize the tide pools. Its venom is a defense, an insurance policy, a hidden reserve of power. It is a reminder that strength does not always need to be shown. What makes the blue-ringed octopus even more remarkable is its intelligence. All octopuses, from the giants of the deep to the tiny species of the reefs, are known for their problem-solving abilities. They can open jars, navigate mazes, and remember tasks. The blue-ringed octopus, though small, shares in this heritage of cleverness. It manipulates its environment. It gathers shells and stones to block the entrance of its den, creating a barricade against intruders. It remembers safe hiding places, returning to them again and again. It explores with curiosity, tasting the world with every touch of its sucker. Imagine crouching by a tide pool and watching this. A small octopus emerges from a crevice, its arms extending cautiously. One arm curls around a shell, lifts it, turns it over. Another arm reaches into the sand, feeling for hidden prey. The creature seems almost playful, though in truth it is simply exploring, gathering information, learning the texture of its little world. It is easy, watching such behavior, to feel a sense of kinship. For here is a mind at work, small but vibrant, solving problems, making decisions, living with intention. The reproductive cycle of the blue-ringed octopus brief as it is, offers another glimpse into its delicate balance. The male approaches the female cautiously, extending his specialized arm to transfer sperm. Sometimes the female allows this calmly. Other times, she resists. The male, aware of the risk, may deliver a gentle bite to subdue her, ensuring the act is completed. It is a dance of survival and continuation, performed silently beneath the waves. When the female carries her eggs, she becomes a sentinel. She holds them beneath her arms, constantly tending to them. She blows streams of water across them to keep them oxygenated. She cleans them with her suckers to prevent algae or debris from covering them. She does not feed during this time. All her energy is directed to her clutch. Slowly, her body weakens, but her care does not falter. When the eggs hatch, tiny octopuses, no larger than grains of rice, drift into the current. The mother, her task complete, soon dies. Her brief life, devoted to the next generation, comes to a quiet close. The young begin their lives adrift. For weeks they are part of the plankton, floating in the open sea at the mercy of currents. They are transparent, almost invisible, fragile in every way. Many do not survive. But those that do eventually settle in shallow reefs or tide pools, taking up the life their parents lived before them. In this way, the cycle continues. Brief lives, glowing brilliantly for a moment, then giving way to the next. Human encounters with blue-ringed octopuses often become stories told and retold. In one case, a swimmer in Sydney picked up what looked like an empty shell. Only when the shell shifted in his hand did he see the glowing rings appear. He dropped it instantly, startled but unharmed. The octopus, no doubt, retreated into the water, its message delivered. Stories like these spread quickly, a reminder of how close we sometimes come to extraordinary lives without realizing it. Another diver described how, on a night swim, his torch caught a flash of color. At first, he thought it was a reflection, some trick of the light. But as he approached, he saw the octopus perched on a rock, its rings glowing in steady pulses. He described it as one of the most beautiful sights he had ever seen under the sea, more breathtaking than any coral or fish. He watched from a distance, unwilling to disturb it, and left with a memory that stayed with him for decades. Folklore, too, carries whispers of creatures like this. In some Pacific Island traditions, lights in the shallow water were seen as guardians, warning fishermen of danger. Some believed the lights were spirits of the sea, watching over their people. Perhaps those tales began with glimpses of the blue-ringed octopus, seen at just the right moment, glowing under the moon. Science explains the rings, but story explains their meaning, and both are true in their own way. The blue-ringed octopus also teaches us about respect. Too often, humans view animals only through the lens of danger or usefulness. But here is a creature that asks nothing of us, that does not seek us, that lives quietly in its own small world. To respect it is simply to leave it alone, to let it live its brief life undisturbed. In that respect, there is wisdom. For how many other creatures live unnoticed, asking only for the same courtesy? Imagine once more the tide pool. The waves roll in, then draw back, leaving water shimmering in hollows. In one of those pools, the blue-ringed octopus stirs. Its arms stretch outward, exploring. Its rings flare briefly, then fade. The storm above echoes with thunder, but beneath the surface all is calm. The octopus moves as it has always moved, quietly, patiently, beautifully. As we bring this story to a close, let us reflect on what the blue-ringed octopus represents. It is small, yet powerful, fragile, yet enduring, shy, yet brilliant. It lives briefly, but in that brief span it shines more brightly than many creatures that live for decades. It reminds us that wonder is not measured in size or time, but in the moments it creates. To see one is to witness a miracle of color and form, a living jewel hidden in the folds of the sea. So, mate, as you lie here listening to the rain on the tent and the fire crackling low, let the image of the blue-ringed octopus rest in your mind. Picture the glowing rings pulsing softly in the shallows, rising and fading like a heartbeat. Let it guide you into stillness, into calm, into rest. For in its small, glowing body lies a lesson as old as the sea itself. Beauty can be brief, but it is no less eternal. Far inland, away from the crashing waves and glowing tide pools, Australia changes its face. The coastlines give way to rolling plains, and those plains turn to dry country, open and vast. Out here, the land is shaped by heat and dust, by cracked red earth and low, scraggly shrubs that cling to life where the rain falls only rarely. It is in this harsh, sun-scorched place that we find one of the most extraordinary reptiles on Earth, the inland taipan. Now, mate, if the saltwater crocodile is the heavyweight of the rivers, and the blue-ringed octopus the glowing lantern of the tide pools, then the inland taipan is the hidden master of the desert. It is shy, elusive, and almost never seen, even by those who know where to look. But it carries a reputation, the reputation of having the most potent venom of any land snake known. And yet, strangely enough, it is not a fierce animal. It does not seek out conflict. It prefers silence, retreat, and solitude. The inland taipan is sometimes called the fierce snake. That name makes it sound like a monster, but the truth is quite the opposite. Fierce does not describe its temperament, it describes its venom. Drop for drop, this snake's venom is considered the most toxic of any terrestrial animal. In laboratory tests, its venom has been measured as many times more potent than that of a cobra. And yet, despite this incredible potency, bites to humans are vanishingly rare. Why? Because the snake itself is gentle, reserved, and quick to disappear when disturbed. Picture it in your mind. The desert sun is high, the air shimmers with heat, and cracks run across the clay soil. From one of those cracks, a head emerges, smooth, slender, scales gleaming in muted browns that match the earth around it. The inland taipan slides forward, its tongue flickering, tasting the air. Its body follows in sinuous waves, each scale catching the light in shades of olive, tan, or even a soft, purplish hue. In some seasons, its colors darken, helping it absorb warmth in the cool months. In others, they lighten, reflecting heat away in the scorching summer. Even its very skin adapts to the rhythm of the desert. The inland taipan spends much of its time hidden. It takes shelter in deep cracks in the ground, in old animal burrows, in crevices left by shifting earth. There, beneath the surface, it avoids the worst of the sun's heat. When it emerges, it is often at dawn or dusk when the desert air is cooler. This is the time it hunts. Small mammals, particularly native rats and mice, form the bulk of its diet. The taipan is swift and precise. It strikes with accuracy, delivers its venom, and then releases. Within moments, the prey is subdued and the snake feeds in peace. Its venom is a marvel of nature's chemistry. It contains a cocktail of toxins that attack the nervous system, the blood, and the muscles. Neurotoxins paralyze, hemotoxins interfere with clotting, and myotoxins break down muscle tissue. Together, they act with astonishing speed. For a small mammal, the effect is almost immediate. For humans, untreated, it can be life-threatening. And yet, because the snake is so rarely encountered, and because anti-venom exists, actual fatalities are extremely uncommon. It is, in a sense, a paradox. The world's most venomous land snake, and yet one of the least likely to harm you. Aboriginal Australians have known of the inland taipan for thousands of years. In their stories, snakes often play the role of creators and transformers, shaping the land in the dream time. The rainbow serpent is one of the most well-known, carving rivers and valleys as it moved across the earth. While not always specifically about the inland taipan, these stories reflect the deep respect and awareness of snakes in Australian culture. To the people who lived with the land, snakes were not to be feared irrationally, but understood, respected, and given their space. Let us linger on the image of the snake itself. Its head is slender, slightly darker than the body, its eyes alert and sharp. The tongue flickers in and out, tasting invisible trails in the air. Each flick of the tongue draws in scent particles, pressing them against the Jacobson's organ in the roof of its mouth, painting a chemical picture of the world around it. To us, the desert may seem silent and empty. To the taipan, it is alive with information. Every flick of the tongue tells it where a mouse has scurried, where a lizard has passed, even where another snake might be hiding. The inland taipan is not a giant snake. Adults typically grow to about 1.8 meters, though some can reach nearly 2.5 meters. That is long enough to be impressive, but not so large as to be cumbersome. Its body is built for speed, for agility, for slipping in and out of burrows with ease. Unlike pythons, which rely on constriction, the taipan relies on precision and venom. It does not need brute force. It has evolved a weapon so effective that a single strike can end the chase almost instantly. Despite this, the taipan is not quick to strike at people. Most snakes, when confronted, prefer escape. They are not interested in wasting venom on something they cannot eat. The inland taipan, true to form, often disappears before you even know it is there. Herpetologists who study them describe the species as calm, even placid, compared to some other snakes. When handled carefully, captive taipans rarely show aggression. This is not to say they are harmless, far from it, but it is a reminder that reputation and reality are not always the same. Its distribution is narrow. The inland taipan is found mainly in the clay desert regions, where Queensland, South Australia, and the Northern Territory meet. This is some of the most remote country in Australia, far from cities and towns, far from the places most people travel. That remoteness is one reason why human encounters are so rare. You could walk across the desert for days and never see one, even though they are there, hidden in the cracks, watching quietly. The discovery of the inland taipan in scientific literature is relatively recent. Though Aboriginal people had always known it, Western science only described it in the late 19th century. For years, it was considered a curiosity, seldom seen and little studied. Only in the last century did researchers begin to understand just how potent its venom truly was. Today, it is recognized as a marvel of evolution, an apex predator of the desert, perfectly suited to its environment. Imagine, for a moment, following it on a hunt. The sun has just dipped below the horizon. The desert glows with the last heat of the day, and shadows stretch long across the flats. From a deep crack in the earth, the snake emerges. It glides across the soil, silent, its scales rustling softly. Ahead, a mouse darts between tufts of grass. The taipan freezes, tongue flicking. Then, with speed almost too fast to see, it strikes. A quick release, a pause, and the mouse is still. The snake swallows it whole, muscles rippling down its body as it eases the prey inside. Within minutes, the hunt is over, and the taipan returns to its shelter. Efficiency, elegance, and silence. The hallmarks of a predator at the peak of its design. And as the storm rolls outside our tent tonight, with thunder rumbling low and the rain steady on the canvas, it is humbling to think of that same rhythm playing out far away under the desert sky. A storm above, a snake below, each living by their own rules, each part of the great story of the land. The inland taipan is sometimes spoken of in hushed tones, as though it were a ghost of the desert, and in many ways, that description fits. Few people ever see one in the wild. It spends much of its time underground, and when it does emerge, it does so with such care and quietness that it seems more like a shadow than a living animal. To know it is to know patience, and to know that the desert holds far more life than first meets the eye. Let us walk again in imagination into its world. The land is flat and open, broken only by low shrubs and clumps of tough grasses. The soil is cracked with dryness, its surface hard beneath the sun. On the horizon, the air shimmers with heat, making the land seem to bend and dance. To stand in such a place is to feel the immensity of Australia, vast, ancient, and often unforgiving. But beneath that surface, beneath the red and brown clay, life waits. In the cool of the morning, or the gentleness of twilight, the inland taipan slides from its shelter. Its body is perfectly matched to the colors of the earth, blending so well that even when in plain view, it is almost invisible. Its camouflage is not only a shield against predators, but also a cloak for hunting. Unlike pythons, which stalk and constrict, the taipan relies on speed. Its strike is among the fastest recorded of any snake. Scientists studying it have marveled at how it can deliver multiple rapid strikes in less than a second, each one precise, each one a direct injection of venom. A rodent scurrying across the soil may never even know what happened. One moment it is free, the next it is still. For the taipan, there is no wasted movement, no wasted effort. Every action is efficient, honed by countless generations of survival. The venom itself is extraordinary. It is a complex mixture of neurotoxins, hemotoxins, and myotoxins, working together in devastating harmony. The neurotoxins block communication between nerves and muscles, leading to paralysis. The hemotoxins interfere with clotting, causing internal disruption. The myotoxins damage muscle tissue, releasing proteins into the bloodstream. For a small mammal, the effect is almost immediate. For a human, untreated, the results could be fatal within an hour. Yet, despite this fearsome power, actual human bites are so rare they can almost be counted on fingers. The inland taipan simply does not cross paths with people often, and when it does, it prefers to retreat. When herpetologists, snake specialists, speak of the inland taipan, they often describe its nature as gentle, even reluctant. It is not an aggressive snake. It will not chase. It does not lunge wildly. Instead, it tries to avoid conflict, slipping away into cracks or burrows at the first sign of disturbance. Only when cornered, with no escape, will it defend itself. And even then, its strikes are precise, never wasted. To call it the fierce snake is in many ways unfair. A better name might be the quiet snake or the patient snake. Its ferocity lies not in its temper, but in the chemistry of its body. The inland taipan's range is narrow, confined mainly to the floodplains and clay deserts where Queensland, South Australia, and the Northern Territory converge. This country is far from towns and roads, far from the bustle of human life. Few venture there, and fewer still at the times when the snake is active. It is this remoteness, more than anything, that keeps human encounters rare. To walk through this land is to walk through silence, broken only by the wind and the occasional call of a bird. Yet in that silence, beneath the soil, taipans live their hidden lives. Their adaptation to the desert is remarkable. The climate swings from blistering heat in the day to cold nights, from long dry spells to sudden downpours that flood the flats. The inland taipan manages these extremes with a simple strategy. It hides. During the heat of the day, it stays underground, insulated from the sun. During drought, it conserves energy, emerging less often, making the most of each hunt. When rains come and rodents breed in abundance, the taipan takes advantage, feeding well and replenishing its reserves. It is a master of rhythm, living in step with the pulse of the desert. Rodents, particularly the long-haired rat, form the bulk of its diet. These rats can appear in huge numbers after rains, their populations exploding across the plains. For the taipan, this is a banquet. It emerges from its burrow, tongue flicking, searching for scent trails. A nest of rats may provide several meals, each taken swiftly and efficiently. The venom works quickly, sparing the snake the need for long pursuits or struggles. In this way, the taipan helps keep rodent populations in check, playing a quiet but crucial role in the ecosystem. Without predators like it, the balance of the desert would falter. Its hunting method is worth imagining closely. Picture the snake sliding silently across the cracked ground. It pauses, head raised slightly, tongue flicking. A faint scent reaches it, the musky trail of a rat. The snake follows, body low, movement smooth. Ahead, the rat emerges from a clump of grass, whiskers twitching, unaware of the danger. The taipan freezes. For a heartbeat, the desert is still. Then, with a sudden blur, the snake strikes. 1, 2, 3, rapid bites, faster than the eye can follow. The rat stiffens, then falls limp. The snake waits a moment, then opens its jaws, beginning the long, slow process of swallowing. Its mouth stretches impossibly wide, its lower jaw unhinging, muscles rippling as the prey disappears in sight. What took seconds to capture now takes minutes to consume, every motion deliberate, every movement silent. To many people, snakes inspire fear. But here, in the quiet desert, the inland taipan inspires something different. It inspires awe. To know that such a potent creature lives in such remoteness, to know that it has perfected the art of survival without ever needing to boast or show itself, is humbling. It is not an animal of spectacle, but of subtlety. It asks not for our fear, but for our respect. Scientists continue to study its venom, not only for its danger, but also for its potential. Within that cocktail of toxins are compounds that might one day lead to medical advances. Venoms, after all, are highly specialized biochemical tools. What harms in one context can heal in another. Already, research into snake venoms has produced medicines for heart disease, blood pressure, and clotting disorders. The inland taipan, in its quiet way, may hold keys to future treatments hidden in the chemistry of its bite. Folklore does not always speak directly of the inland taipan, but snakes in general hold a place of reverence in Aboriginal traditions. The rainbow serpent is the most famous, a creator being that carved rivers and valleys as it moved across the land. But in many local stories, snakes are guardians of waterholes, keepers of knowledge, symbols of both danger and wisdom. The inland taipan, secretive and powerful, fits easily into this tapestry of meaning. To those who live close to the land, snakes are not enemies but teachers. They remind us to tread carefully, to be mindful of where we step, to share the world with lives that are different from our own. As the rain continues to fall gently outside our tent tonight, it is easy to imagine the inland taipan resting in its burrow far away, curled in silence. Above it, storms may roll, floods may sweep across the plains. The sun may blaze, but below the surface it waits, steady and unhurried. It does not resist the rhythm of the land. It moves with it. That is its secret. That is its wisdom. So let us remember, mate, when we think of the inland taipan, not only its venom but also its patience. Not only its reputation, but its reality. It is a creature of balance, of quiet strength, of survival written into every scale. And in that, there is something deeply calming. For if a snake in the harshest desert can find its rhythm, so too can we. The desert has a way of keeping secrets. To many who pass through, it looks empty. A vast expanse of red and brown, dotted only by hardy shrubs and the occasional bird of prey circling in the sky. But to those who pause, who look closer, the land reveals its hidden residence. One of the greatest of these is the inland taipan, living quietly beneath the soil, moving with grace when it chooses, retreating into silence when it does not. We have spoken of its venom, its hunting, its shy and elusive nature. But there is more to say, more to imagine. For the inland taipan is not just a snake of chemistry and stealth. It is a thread in the great tapestry of Australia's deserts, a creature tied to the rhythm of the land itself. Imagine the seasons as they turn out here. In the summer, the heat is relentless. The clay soil cracks wide, the grasses shrivel, and the air vibrates with waves of heat. Few animals stir in the day. Most wait for night to bring relief. The inland taipan, too, rests in its burrow, deep enough to stay cool. Only in the early morning or the fading evening light does it emerge. Its colors, darker in the cooler months, lighter in the hotter ones, shift with the seasons, helping it manage the extremes. Then come the rains. They do not fall often, but when they do, the desert is transformed. Dry creeks flow, grass sprouts almost overnight, and rodents breed in vast numbers. For the inland taipan, this is a time of plenty. It emerges more often, striking swiftly at the swarms of rats that scurry across the plains. Its venom, so potent, ensures that each hunt ends quickly. It may take several prey in a single outing, feeding well while the abundance lasts. In this way, the taipan rides the cycles of feast and famine, matching its life to the pulse of the land. In winter, the desert cools. Nights can be bitter, frost settling on the clay. The inland taipan darkens in color, its scales absorbing more of the sun's warmth when it emerges. It basks at the burrow's entrance, motionless, drawing in the heat. Even here, in a place so harsh, the snake has found its balance, its method of survival. Every part of its body, every aspect of its behavior, is shaped by the land it calls home. There is something almost meditative about this rhythm. The snake does not resist its environment, does not fight it. It simply adapts, shifting its habits, changing its colors, moving with the seasons. It is a reminder that sometimes survival is not about conquest, but about acceptance. To live long in a hard place is to learn its ways and to move in harmony with them. The inland taipan scales are smooth and glossy, catching the light in subtle shades. Depending on the season, they may appear olive brown, yellowish, or even with hints of purple. To see one up close is to realize that even the desert, which at first seems dull and uniform, hides colors richer than we expect. Nature often saves her brightest hues for those who take the time to notice. When the snake moves, it does so with elegance. Its body flows over the ground, each curve a smooth continuation of the last. Unlike some snakes that appear jerky or rigid, the taipan seems to pour itself forward, like water moving across the surface. Its head remains steady, tongue flicking in and out, painting a picture of the unseen world around it. Every flick gathers sense. Every breath carries information. To the snake, the desert is not empty at all. It is full of signals, trails, and clues, a hidden language written in scent and vibration. Consider the role this snake plays. By preying on rodents, it keeps populations in check. Rodents, when too numerous, can devastate vegetation and unbalance ecosystems. The inland taipan, silent and unseen, helps to prevent this. It is an apex predator of its environment, not by size or roar, but by efficiency. And in turn, it becomes part of the food chain as well. Raptors may take young snakes. Larger reptiles may prey on them if the chance arises. Nothing exists in isolation, not even the taipan. Everything is part of the larger web. For all its power, the inland taipan is a vulnerable species. Its restricted range means that changes in land use, climate, or habitat could impact it. Farmers clearing land, mining operations, or shifts in rainfall patterns could alter its delicate balance. Conservationists keep a watchful eye, not because it is common to encounter the snake, but because rarity itself makes it precious. To lose such a creature would be to lose a piece of the desert story. When we think of venomous snakes, we often imagine aggression. But the inland taipan defies that expectation. Those who have worked with it in captivity describe it as calm, even gentle in its way. If disturbed, it prefers to retreat rather than lash out. Its power is not in its temper, but in its chemistry. It does not boast. It does not need to. Its very existence is a quiet proof of nature's brilliance. There are stories of herpetologists traveling for weeks through the desert, hoping to see one, only to leave empty-handed. The snake is that elusive, and yet, for those who do glimpse it, the memory lasts a lifetime. To see the inland taipan gliding across the clay, scales shining in the sun, is to see the desert itself made flesh, harsh, mysterious, and beautiful. Aboriginal stories remind us that snakes are not only animals, but also teachers. In many traditions, snakes are tied to water, to creation, to cycles of life and death. The inland taipan, living as it does in one of the most challenging environments on Earth, embodies these lessons. It shows that power does not need to be loud, that strength can be quiet, that survival is as much about patience as it is about force. And so, as we sit here tonight, the storm still rolling softly beyond the canvas of our tent, let us think of the inland taipan resting in its burrow far away. The rain that falls here may also fall there, soaking into the clay, seeping into the cracks. The snake, curled in silence, waits. It does not hurry. It does not resist. It knows the land, and it knows that every storm, every drought, every season is part of the cycle. The inland taipan is a reminder that the desert is alive, that even in the harshest places, beauty thrives, that life in all its forms adapts and endures. And for us, it is a gentle lesson to move with patience, to adapt to change, to find balance even in difficulty. So mate, let us close this part of the journey with gratitude for the inland taipan, the most venomous land snake in the world, and yet one of the calmest. A creature of paradox and wonder, a hidden jewel of the desert, shining not with light, but with the quiet brilliance of survival. As you breathe deeply, feeling the warmth of the fire and the rhythm of the rain, let the image rest in your mind. A snake, moving silently across red earth, disappearing into the cracks, leaving only the desert breeze behind. Peaceful, patient, and eternal, like the land it calls home. The sea holds many marvels, mate, and among them is a creature so delicate, so translucent, that it almost seems like a dream drifting just below the surface. This is the box jellyfish, a being both fragile in form and powerful in design, a paradox of nature that glides silently through the warm waters of the tropics. At first glance, you might not even notice it. The body of the box jellyfish is almost invisible, like a bell of glass, four-sided and faintly cube-shaped, which is how it earns its name. From each corner trail long, slender tentacles, dozens of them, like silken threads waving in the current. In calm water, the jellyfish looks less like an animal and more like a wisp of mist, a fragment of cloud that somehow wandered beneath the waves. But hidden in that softness lies one of the most sophisticated designs in the animal kingdom. The box jellyfish is often called one of the most venomous creatures in the ocean. Its tentacles carry stinging cells, called nematocysts, each one a microscopic harpoon loaded with venom. When touched, they fire with incredible speed, delivering a chemical cocktail that can affect the heart, the nervous system, and the skin. For fish and small animals, the effect is almost instant. For humans, a sting can be dangerous, even life-threatening, though medical care has greatly improved outcomes. And yet, despite this reputation, the box jellyfish is not a monster of the sea. It is not aggressive. It does not chase. It simply drifts and swims, feeding quietly, part of the balance of the reef. Its sting, like the blue rings of the octopus or the venom of the taipan, is not an act of cruelty, but a shield, a way of surviving in a vast and unpredictable world. Let us imagine it now, in its element. The waters are warm and clear, tropical seas lapping gently against the mangroves and sandy beaches of northern Australia. Beneath the surface, shafts of sunlight pierce the blue, dancing in wavering columns of light. And there, moving with slow, deliberate rhythm, is the box jellyfish. Its bell pulses softly, propelling it forward. Tentacles trail behind, long and fine, sometimes stretching 3 meters or more. Each movement is graceful, each moment silent. The body of the jellyfish is so clear that it seems almost to vanish into the water. Only the faint outline of the cube and the shimmer of the tentacles give it away. This transparency is a kind of camouflage, protecting it from predators. To a passing turtle or fish, it may be nothing more than a ripple of light, unseen and unbothered. But here is something remarkable. Unlike many jellyfish, which drift aimlessly with the current, the box jellyfish can actually swim. It contracts and relaxes the muscles of its bell, pushing itself with surprising speed and control. It can change direction, move toward prey, or away from obstacles. In fact, some box jellyfish have been clocked moving faster than most people can walk underwater. For a creature so delicate, this ability to choose its path is extraordinary. Even more astonishing are its eyes. Yes, eyes. The box jellyfish has clusters of them, 24 in total, arranged in 4 groups around its bell. Some are simple light sensors, detecting brightness and shadow, but others are more complex, complete with lenses, corneas, and retinas, much like the eyes of higher animals. These eyes can form images, allowing the jellyfish to see obstacles, to navigate around mangrove roots, to swim deliberately through its world. Imagine that, a creature so simple in form, without a brain as we understand it, yet with eyes that can see. Its nervous system is distributed, a network rather than a central hub. Information from the eyes feeds into this network, guiding its movements, helping it respond quickly to changes around it. It may not think as we do, but in its own way, it perceives, decides, and acts. It is a reminder that intelligence in nature wears many forms, not always bound to a skull or a spine. The diet of the box jellyfish is modest. Small fish, shrimp, and plankton make up its meals. When a fish brushes against its tentacles, the stinging cells fire, stunning it. The tentacles then contract, pulling the prey toward the bell, where the jellyfish consumes it. This process may sound harsh, but it is simply part of the cycle of life. Fish eat shrimp, shrimp eat plankton, and plankton draw energy from the sun. The jellyfish is just another link in that endless chain. There is even beauty in the way it feeds. Picture it in your mind. A small school of silvery fish darts past. One brushes against a trailing tentacle. Instantly, the fish stiffens, stunned. The tentacle coils like a ribbon wrapping around a gift, drawing the fish closer. The jellyfish's bell pulses, opening slightly, welcoming the meal into its central cavity. No noise, no struggle, just a silent exchange of energy, one life sustaining another. Humans have, of course, learned to be cautious of this animal. In northern Australia, warning signs are common on beaches during the stinger season, the warm months when box jellyfish drift closer to shore. Vinegar stations are often placed nearby, for vinegar helps neutralize the stinging cells that have not yet fired. Swimmers wear stinger suits, lightweight protective clothing that prevents the tentacles from contacting skin. With care and knowledge, people and jellyfish share the waters, each respecting the other's presence. Stories of jellyfish have long flowed through seafaring cultures. To ancient sailors, the sight of glowing creatures in the sea at night, bioluminescent plankton, drifting jellies, was both eerie and magical. Some believed them to be spirits of the drowned. Others saw them as stars that had fallen into the ocean. The box jellyfish, though not bioluminescent itself, may have inspired such awe in those who glimpsed its ghostly form, drifting by lantern light. Even today, divers who encounter one often speak of it with reverence, describing it as both beautiful and unsettling, fragile yet commanding respect. Here at camp, with the rain still whispering on the canvas and the fire burning low, it is easy to imagine that scene. A warm, tropical night, the moonlight spilling across calm water. Below the surface, a shape glides, almost invisible, almost unreal. Its bell pulses gently, its tentacles stream behind in endless threads, drifting like silk scarves caught in a breeze. To watch a box jellyfish move is to watch the sea itself dream. And that, mate, is what makes it so extraordinary. Not just its venom, not just its design, but the way it embodies the ocean's contradictions. Delicate yet powerful, simple yet sophisticated, invisible yet unforgettable. It is a reminder that the sea is not ours to tame, but ours to marvel at, to respect, to share in quiet wonder. So let the image of the box jellyfish rest in your mind for now. A cube of glass, a crown of silk, a being that sees without a brain, that moves with intention without a spine. It drifts through its world as we drift through ours, part of a greater rhythm, a greater story. And in that rhythm, we can find calm, letting the slow pulse of its bell guide our breathing, letting its gentle drifting ease us into stillness. The ocean is a place of endless patterns, each life form fitting into the design in its own way. Among those patterns, the box jellyfish glides like a thread of silk, connecting predator and prey, light and shadow, fragility and strength. To spend time thinking about this animal is to slow down, to follow its movements, to let the rhythm of its body carry you along. Let us imagine its world more closely. The waters of northern Australia are warm and shallow, stretching over wide sandy flats and weaving through tangled mangrove forests. The tides rise and fall, flooding channels, emptying them again. In these shifting waters, the box jellyfish finds its place. Unlike many jellyfish that simply drift wherever the current takes them, this one has control. Its bell pulses in steady contractions, pushing it forward. It can angle itself toward the open sea or away from obstacles, threading its way between mangrove roots or over seagrass meadows. Its movement is not clumsy but purposeful. The bell opens and closes with gentle rhythm, like a slow heartbeat. Each pulse sends it gliding forward. Tentacles trail behind, long and fine, sometimes more than 3 meters in length. These tentacles are not spread at random, but controlled with precision. The jellyfish can shorten or lengthen them, bunch them together, or spread them wide like a fisherman casting a net. This ability makes it a skilled hunter, despite its ghostly softness. When a small fish brushes against one of those tentacles, the contact triggers the stinging cells, nematocysts. These are tiny capsules under pressure, each with a coiled thread tipped with a microscopic barb. When triggered, the thread explodes outward, piercing the skin and delivering venom. The speed is almost unimaginable, measured in millionths of a second. It is one of the fastest actions in the natural world. To the fish, the effect is immediate. Its muscles seize, its body stiffens, and in moments, it is helpless. The tentacle contracts, drawing it toward the bell. And then, quietly, the jellyfish consumes it. From our perspective, this seems harsh. But in truth, it is no different from a bird catching an insect or a lion bringing down an antelope. Every creature lives by taking energy from another, and the box jellyfish does so with elegance, efficiency, and silence. Nothing is wasted. Each meal is taken with precision, sustaining the delicate body that drifts so lightly through the sea. The box jellyfish is not a single species, but a group. Scientists recognize several species in the family Cubozoa, each with its own range and characteristics. The most infamous is Chironex fleckeri, found in the northern waters of Australia. This is the species most often associated with dangerous stings. Others, like the smaller Carukia barnesi, are known to cause a condition called Irukandji syndrome, a set of severe symptoms including intense pain, high blood pressure, and nausea. Each species is a variation on the same theme: delicate cubes of jelly, trailing fine tentacles, carrying within them both beauty and power. The eyes of the box jellyfish remain one of its greatest mysteries. 24 in total, arranged in clusters called rhopalia, ring the edges of the bell. Some are simple, little more than spots that detect light and dark. But others are complex, with corneas, lenses, and retinas. These image-forming eyes are capable of seeing shapes and movement. What is fascinating is that the jellyfish has no central brain. Instead, it has a nerve net, a decentralized system that processes information locally. The eyes feed signals into this network, and the jellyfish responds accordingly. How does an animal without a brain see and act with such precision? That is one of the wonders of the natural world. Intelligence, as we often measure it, is not the only path to survival. The box jellyfish shows us that perception and action can be distributed, that awareness can take forms beyond our own. Watching it avoid obstacles, steer toward open water, and adjust its tentacles to hunt, one cannot help but feel that it perceives its world in a way both alien and profound. The transparency of its body adds to the sense of mystery. It is nearly invisible in the water, a survival strategy that makes it difficult for predators to spot. For swimmers, this invisibility is why warning signs are so common in northern Australia during the warmer months. Stinger season, as it is called, brings box jellyfish closer to shore. Beaches place vinegar stations for emergencies, and many people wear protective stinger suits. Vinegar does not neutralize the venom already injected, but it does prevent unfired stinging cells from releasing, reducing the severity of a sting. This simple measure has saved countless lives. Despite the risk, encounters are rare compared to the number of people who swim in these waters each year. The jellyfish does not seek conflict. It is not drawn to humans. Most stings occur when a person accidentally drifts into its tentacles. It is a reminder again that nature asks for respect. When we step into the sea, we enter the jellyfish's world, and it is up to us to do so with care. Fishermen and locals have long told stories of the jellyfish. Some describe nights when lanterns hanging over boats revealed strange, ghostly shapes, gliding below, tentacles streaming like ribbons of silk. To some, these were omens, warnings to be cautious, to tread lightly. Others saw them as spirits of the sea, guardians of hidden places. In truth, the box jellyfish does feel like a spirit, so insubstantial, so delicate, that to see one is to question whether it is truly there at all. Picture it under the moonlight, mate. The water calm, the surface reflecting stars. Beneath, the jellyfish glides. Its bell pulses, faintly glowing with refracted light. Tentacles trail and shimmer, so fine they look like lines of glass. It moves silently, as though carried by thought alone. To watch it is to watch the sea itself breathe, slow and deep, in a rhythm that matches the tides and the storms. Scientists have discovered that box jellyfish can detect the horizon and orient themselves to it, an ability rare among jellyfish. They swim actively, avoiding strong sunlight by seeking the shade of mangroves and estuaries during the day, venturing out to hunt at dawn and dusk. Their lives are timed with the rhythms of light, just as our own are tied to the rising and setting of the sun. In this way, we share something with them, though our worlds are so different. And perhaps that is why, despite their danger, the box jellyfish inspire awe. They are reminders that life takes many forms, that survival can be written in silk and light as much as in muscle and bone. They show us that even creatures without brain, without hearts, can move with intention, can perceive their world, can thrive in their own quiet way. So, as we sit here in camp, listening to the soft rain and distant thunder, let the image of the box jellyfish drift through your thoughts. A ghost in the water, delicate but powerful, silent but purposeful. Let it remind you that beauty often comes in forms we do not expect, and that strength does not always roar. Sometimes, strength drifts quietly, trailing threads of silk beneath the sea. The story of the box jellyfish is not just about danger or survival. It is about mystery, about elegance, and about the ways life finds to thrive, even in the most unlikely forms. To drift with it in thought is to enter a world where the rules feel different, where transparency is armor, where silk threads hold power, and where eyes see without a brain to interpret them. Let us picture its world one last time. The sea is calm, the water warm, the kind of water that feels like silk against the skin. Sunlight pierces down in beams, painting the sand with dappled light. In this soft brightness, the box jellyfish moves. Its bell pulses gently, each contraction a quiet push forward. Tentacles spread behind it, swaying and curling in the current. They are so fine, so thread-like, that they are almost invisible until the light catches them. Then they shimmer, like glass spun into threads, like dew strung across a web at dawn. The tentacles are more than just delicate lines. They are extraordinary tools. Each one is covered in thousands upon thousands of stinging cells. At rest, these cells are harmless, coiled tight, waiting. But at the slightest touch, they fire. A harpoon launches, venom flows, and the message is delivered. For prey, that message is final. For larger animals, even humans, it is a warning written in fire. And yet, it is not malicious. The jellyfish does not choose cruelty. It simply exists as it must, as nature has shaped it. The box jellyfish spends much of its time near shore, especially during certain seasons. Shallow waters, estuaries, and mangroves provide shelter and food. Scientists have observed how it avoids bright light, preferring the dimmer times of day. Dawn and dusk are its hours of activity, when small fish emerge and the water is alive with movement. During these times, the jellyfish is at its most graceful. It swims with purpose, weaving between mangrove roots, rising and sinking with subtle shifts of its bell. To see it there is to see a ghost moving through a forest of water. Its lifespan is brief, often less than a year. From tiny larvae, box jellyfish grow quickly, maturing within months. They reproduce, leaving behind the next generation, and then fade. Like the blue-ringed octopus and the inland taipan, their lives are short but intense, shaped by cycles of abundance and loss. This brevity only adds to their mystery. To glimpse one is to witness a life that will soon be gone, replaced by others. Each generation repeating the same delicate dance. What fascinates scientists is not only the jellyfish's venom or eyes, but the way it processes the world. With no central brain, no heart, no bones, it still manages to navigate, to hunt, to avoid obstacles. Its body is a network of nerves and cells, communicating in patterns we are only beginning to understand. It is a reminder that intelligence and awareness are not limited to our definitions. There are other ways of knowing, other ways of perceiving, other ways of being alive. Humans naturally have learned caution. Stories of stings travel quickly. Some describe pain so intense it feels as though fire has been poured onto the skin. Others speak of cramps, nausea, or dizziness. In severe cases, especially when tentacles wrap around the body, the venom can overwhelm. But with modern medicine, fatalities are rare. Lifeguards watch, vinegar stations stand ready, stinger suits protect swimmers. Respect and knowledge turn danger into coexistence. And yet, alongside the caution, there is admiration. Divers who encounter box jellyfish often describe them as hauntingly beautiful. To see one is to see something alien and fragile, moving with quiet power through the sea. Some speak of feeling as though time itself slowed, as though the world held its breath while the jellyfish passed. That sense of awe lingers long after the dive ends, carried back to the surface like a memory of another realm. Folklore and imagination have always filled the gaps when humans meet mystery. In some tales, jellyfish are said to be the ghosts of drowned sailors, drifting eternally through the sea. In others, they are fragments of the moon, fallen into the waves and given life. The box jellyfish, with its pale transparency and trailing silken lines, could inspire either tale. It looks both alive and not, both present and fleeting. It is a reminder of how close wonder and fear often sit side by side. Now, let us bring all these images together. Imagine the storm still rolling outside our tent, rain tapping steadily on the canvas, thunder low in the distance. Inside, it is warm and safe, the fire glowing, and in your mind's eye, you see the box jellyfish gliding through its own storm beneath the sea. Lightning flashes above, its reflection ripples across the water, and below, the jellyfish drifts. Its bell pulses in calm rhythm. Its tentacles wave like silk caught in a current. It does not hurry. It does not fear. It simply moves, part of the ocean's endless breath. And here lies its lesson, mate. The box jellyfish shows us that life can be powerful without being loud, purposeful without being complex, beautiful without being adorned. It is a creature that lives by being exactly what it is, no more, no less. And in that, there is peace. So as we close our journey tonight, let us remember the stories of these animals we have shared. The ancient patience of the saltwater crocodile, the glowing beauty of the blue-ringed octopus, the quiet strength of the inland taipan, and the delicate grace of the box jellyfish. Each one is a marvel of nature, a reminder of the strange and beautiful ways life endures. Here in camp, safe and cozy, we can let these stories drift through our minds as we rest. The rain continues, steady and calm, a lullaby from the sky. The fire glows low, a heartbeat of warmth. And you, mate, are snug and at peace, part of the same great story of life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this time together, if these stories brought you wonder or calm, I'd be grateful if you gave this video a like and subscribe for more nights like this. More tales of the animals that share our world, told by the fire while the storm sings outside. Until next time, sleep well, dream deeply, and remember, you are safe, you are cozy, and the world is full of marvels waiting to be discovered. Good night, mate.